What is the most important update or change that candidates can typically expect?
The kind of things we ask are commonsensical problems.
So, what is that one simple but powerful hack that can immediately boost a student's XAT score in the final weeks?
XAT is very dynamic. In fact,
yeah.
if something happens on 1st of Jan, you can find that in your question paper.
In the last month, in terms of points that students can pick up, top 3 chapters or sections, which you think are more scoring?
We don't ask questions which are coming back from history and creating confusion.
How should they handle the middle section? How should they end it? How many times do you think they need to come back to a question or just do it in one move?
What is that one piece of advice that you think should be given to every XAT aspirant who is right now watching you?
All eyes on XAT 2026. कैट गया, जो रात गई वो बात गई. हर किसी स्टूडेंट को कैट इस बार नहीं भाया, लेकिन एक चीज इंपॉर्टेंट हो गई. कैट न भाने की वजह से कहीं ना कहीं XAT की तरफ लगाव इस साल बहुत बड़ा है. सो नाउ ऑल आईज आर ऑन XAT. और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात यह है इस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पर, व्हेन एवरीबॉडी इज थिंकिंग एंड टॉकिंग अबाउट XAT, द अपकमिंग नेक्स्ट बिगी इन द मैनेजमेंट एग्जाम पार्लेंस, सुपरग्रैड्स ने आपके सवाल पूछे XAT के कन्वीनर राहुल कुमार शुक्ला जी से, और उन्होंने एक एक सवाल का सटीक जवाब दिया. ट्रस्ट मी, अगर आप इस एपिसोड को पूरी तरीके से मिस नहीं कर रहे, आई कैन वाउच ऑन वन थिंग, आपकी XAT की रिजल्ट्स में एक ड्रास्टिक शिफ्ट आ सकता है, बिकॉज ही हैज गिवन द ट्रू रेसिपी फॉर योर XAT एग्जाम 2026. So stick till the end and subscribe Supergrads Cat YouTube channel as well.
So we do have amongst us Dr. Rahul Kumar Shukla. Very warm welcome, sir, who is convener of XAT and a distinguished faculty member in General Management area at XLRI Jamshedpur. A Fulbright and Star Talk Fellow, he has led global research initiatives at University of Venezuela. At XLRI, he is known for shaping future leaders through his work in managerial and leadership communication. He has also trained top organizations like Maruti Suzuki, Tata Power, and IOCL in communication and decision-making excellence. With rich academic experience across IIMs and leading universities, Dr. Shukla stands as a leading voice in communication, critical thinking, and a rational decision-making. A very warm welcome on Supergrads platform, sir.
Thank you for this welcome, and I'm sure I would try to help the participants who are listening to us, waiting for us to talk about XAT.
We're also joined by Vijayaditya Singh, I think perhaps for the first time in an interview round. He is product owner of Supergrads CAT, and he is an IIM Ahmedabad Alumnus. All right. So, I'll request Vijay to start with the set of questions now.
Great. Welcome, Rahul sir. It's an honor having you here. Just some fundamental questions to start with, more on a surprising side, because XAT applications are seeing an year-on-year rise. While we see a lot of major management exams, the number of applications are decreasing. So just wanted your thoughts on what do you think is driving students towards XAT so much so?
So that's a very good question. Yes, we have seen a rise of applications for last couple of years. And since I have taken over, I guess this number is continuously increasing. There are lots of factors into it. If I have to name a few, I would say it's not just about I have taken over. I guess my predecessors who were handling this office earlier, they also did a lot to build XAT, and I guess now it's coming out really well. But a few things which actually are working well for our test is, number one, since I have taken over and a few of my predecessors, we tried to reduce ambiguity around this test called Xavier Aptitude Test. Earlier, for instance, people didn't know what would come in XAT. People didn't know what kind of questions are asked. People also didn't know we have a special section called decision making. They didn't know what was the purpose of that section and what do we look forward to when we create stems and we create questions on those stems and how students should attempt. So what we have done for last few years is we have tried to create as much content as we could from our side, and we have tried to post that content on different forums or on different platforms. And we have realized that because of that, lots of candidates who are preparing for getting to B schools, they have developed an understanding of what this exam could be, and therefore number is going up. Along with that, from last many years, we have tried to focus on accuracy as well. And on the top of it, what we do every year is we do something called difficulty analysis, though difficulty is never our focus. What we try to do is we try to understand after our exam is conducted. On every question, we try to understand how many attempted and how many didn't attempt that question. When I say how many, I mean the candidates. So based on that, we decide what would be the nature of questions in future exams. So I guess bringing that kind of a process in understanding our question paper, helping candidates to know what's going to come, what is the rationale, and we have started.
Correlation is there between one examination and another. You're making that particular point over here. I mean, the previous. So you, because you're analyzing the difficulty level. So today, what I can infer from it is that 2026 ZAT is going to get dependent on 2025 ZAT. Is it true?
Yeah, I would not say dependent, but I would say, of course, we took insights from that exam,
All right.
2025, and we are going to use those insights in 2026. Like the
All right.
kind of questions which were not attempted or not touched in 2025, we would try to either change them or we would try to remove them so that if they are not touched, they don't make any sense to us.
All
So I
right.
guess that's what the purpose of this exercise is,
Fair point.
right?
Great. No, it's a really great learning for us
Yeah.
in all other entrance exams. I think we're setting a benchmark of how a good exam should be conducted. So for this year specifically, that 2026, what is the most important update or change that candidates can typically expect in terms of exam pattern or schedule or any new instruction that we've probably thought?
So I would say, except for the questions, nothing would change. Questions would
Okay.
definitely change because this would be a new paper. We are sticking to the same pattern which we followed last year. Last year, we made lots of changes. We reduced the number of questions in general awareness. We also tried to reduce the time of our exam from 3 hours, 30 minutes to 3 hours. I guess that's it, not more than anything else. In fact, we are also sticking to the same topics we covered in the last test because changing too much every year is also not a good idea because we want students to settle down with our course overview or our ZAT overview. And in future, if we feel based on the feedback we receive from our students and also feedback from friends like you, if any need arises, we would definitely love to change. But this year, of course, nothing is changing.
Fair, fair. No, that's great to know. This is the year that we're establishing our formula that this is how the exam pattern will look like. Very reassuring for students also, perhaps, to be settled in on the exam pattern. However, our online sources communicated there's a lot of talk in the student crowd in terms of the difficulty levels of that or what it is truly trying to test. So just wanted your perspective on what do you think is the one core skill that is typically testing students with.
So this is something very much discussed in almost all the forums that that is a difficult exam, and I'm happy that you raised this particular important concern over here. Honestly speaking, in my office or when I'm with my team, which is into question paper making, we never try to make question paper difficult. In fact, we don't even discuss to make our question paper difficult. The logic is very simple. What will we get out of making the question paper difficult? Because if, for instance, if we put 10 difficult questions, let's assume that in our quantitative aptitude and data interpretation section, if we put 10 questions really difficult, then we are assessing students only out of 18 questions. So what is the point of giving 28 questions? So of course, difficulty is never our focus. We try to keep that as that, right? We set benchmark against that itself. I've already informed you about the kind of analysis we do every year. We avoid those questions which are not picked up by students while taking the test. We try to pick those questions which are normally taken up because if it's a level playing field, we would actually be able to understand our students better, right? So definitely not the focus of difficulty. But on the other side, we also don't want to make the paper too simple. Why? Because there are lots of students. There are many who take a break from their jobs. There are many who invest a lot of time while they are working. They are for the entire day they are in offices and at night they are working. They are coming to coaching centers. So if we make the paper too simple, then it would be injustice to those. So of course, those who have worked hard for last 2-3 months, definitely we want to do justice to those kids. And therefore, paper would be like a paper, normal paper, doable paper, relatable paper. In fact, we try to cater now to the interests of the new generation, who we call Gen Zs, right, and Zillennials, who are overlapping. But definitely we will not try to make it difficult, and it's not going to be difficult at all. In fact, if you pick our paper for last 5-6 years, we are trying to tone down the paper so that everybody can manage to do. And the testimony to how we are doing in our test is that lots of non-engineers are actually among the top 10 candidates of overall ZAT performance.
But sir, actually,
Interesting.
the thought of why Vijay is asking this particular question, I would, deep dive into that particular thought as well. So, majority of the kids find decision making and quant tougher than CAT examination, and they do exactly compare with the CAT examination over there. So, what is the rationale behind, these two sections getting tougher than the one of the most difficult examination already in India, CAT? Yeah.
So I will tell you, if you say quantitative aptitude and data interpretation is tougher, I will not agree here for a simple reason.
Yeah.
When we create test, especially QADI section,
Mhm.
our objective is to avoid, I will not say we completely remove, to avoid formula based questions, right? So why what is the reason? Because there are lots of non-engineers or people with different backgrounds come and attempt our question paper. We don't want them to face problems because they don't know formulas. So that questions require thinking. Even if you don't know the formula, and if you can think in a logical way, you can arrive at an answer. So I guess in other exams, you can put a formula and arrive at a quick solution, which actually is not direct as in other exams as ZAT.
All right.
So ZAT tries to, our objective is to give questions which are application based.
Mhm.
And when it comes to decision making, I guess decision making is too simple. In fact, if you look at these scores of last a few years, because we do that analysis as well, the candidate score in decision making is consistently going up. In fact, I guess they have been able to crack the code. We deliberately were not sharing the rationale behind how we create options, but somehow students have learned this art that if you solve last 10 years PYQs,
Yeah.
you will develop a kind of a sense which they call intuition or gut. With that, they are able to solve our decision making section. So I guess decision making is now going well. In fact, it is in place. There are no surprises in decision making. The kind of things we ask are commonsensical problems. We, even if the context is business, we never try to test business acumen of any of our students. So we keep it simple, we keep it common sense based, and if somebody has seen our previous year's question papers, it would not be a difficulty for them to solve our decision making. And as I already told you, quantitative aptitude, it's always application based. If you can think on the go, you can solve any of the questions we give.
All right. I think very well explained by Dr. Rahul Shukla. One more question. I think a lot of viewers right now, listening to you right now, have already written CAT examination. I would like to understand from their perspective, what additional preparation they should do right now, so to qualify for CAT as well.
I would say, see, we have more than a month's time, right? Today is 4th, and our exam is on 5th of January. So, oh, sorry, 4th of January. So it's almost one month, right?
Yeah.
So I would say because in other exams also you have verbal ability and some kind of logical reasoning, and then data interpretation and quantitative aptitude. So definitely the preparation of those sections would feed into XAT. XAT is unique, but not that unique that the fundamentals make the questions different. Fundamentals are similar. If you follow, for instance, the first principle model, the basic principle is same. So I guess definitely your 60 to 70% preparation of CAT would feed into ZAT. What differentiates ZAT from other exams is its decision making section and general awareness. Now, when it comes to decision making, I would say that you solve previous year's question papers, at least 10 years question papers, and a few little things you will have to keep in mind, like when the students are in this age. And in fact, not only students, we also make that mistake that we always believe that perfect answer is the right answer. But in our decision making section, we try to understand that can you also pick suboptimal option? Why? Because your resources, your stakeholders, your situation is not allowing you to go for a perfect answer. Now, what happens when they look at the answers, they see a perfect answer, and then they don't relate that perfect answer with what is there in the STEM, and therefore they make mistakes. So if students are aware what is there in a situation, who is the stakeholder, and who is a decision maker, and how the decision is going to impact a stakeholder, and what resources are available. If the candidates keep all these things in mind while arriving at a decision, always the person will go for a right option in the decision making section, right? In fact, there's always one outlier setting in the options given. You have to use your understanding of the STEM and definitely will arrive at an answer. When it comes to general awareness, I'm sure because you are into it and you all know about it, we don't ask out of the box questions. We never test general knowledge as such. We try to understand when you are preparing or in last 8 months or 9 months, did you keep your ears and eyes open? If you have not kept, then of course it's a problem. And general awareness is exclusively used by XLRI. If you're shortlisted, then only the score be used. Otherwise, in percentile, it has no role to play. So these two sections are different. So for these two sections, they will have to do some preparation. Easily in this 1 month, they can prepare for decision making. When it comes to general awareness, if you have kept your ears and eyes open, if you know what is happening across the country or globally that is impacting us, you would find that in our question paper. I guess so. You don't have to be worried too much. But yes, one quick suggestion: don't leave December month as well. That is very dynamic. In
Dynamic,
fact,
yeah.
if something happens on 1st of Jan, you can find that in your question paper.
So very related question following this, so because you already told that, do not live December month. So, somebody who's watching you right now and, a lot of students carry a lot of misconceptions. Which is the biggest misconception, because you have been reading a lot of students till date, that students carry about that examination, and what is the exact reality according to you?
So, like, I will tell you majorly about this section called decision making. Lots of students believe that decision making's alternatives or answers are very subjective in nature. I am telling you, they are very objective in nature. In fact, when questions are created and alternatives are created, each alternative is understood differently from different team members to understand if there is any other meaning associated with the alternative given. Again, I reiterate, when you are solving decision making, don't believe that there is a subjective understanding of an answer. Whatever is given in this STEM, and whosoever is sitting as a decision maker and whosoever is there getting influenced by the decision, if you have kept them in mind along with the resources available and you have chosen an answer, that is the best answer. No other option is the best option. Even if the option looks amazing, like for instance, if for instance somebody gives you a choice, where do you want to study, right? And XLRI is one of the choices, right? And then there are other schools which are you believe are not so great as XLRI. And then in this time it is given that you have not taken XAT. So you should understand, it appears XLRI is the best option, right? But if you have not taken XAT, how is it an option at all? So you have to understand that if it is not in a STEM, it's not going to help you in the option. Whatever is the, so if it in STEM says you have not taken XAT, then of course you will have to settle down for that school which doesn't require score, right? So that is how students have to think.
Going to really help students while solving decision making problems in particular. Thank you, sir, for this advice. Now, we wanted this particular interview not to be like an interview, but wanted to have a more engaging outcome out of it. So the next set of questions is coming in the form of one word round. So I'm going to put certain questions in front of you, and if you can answer them one by one in just one word. Okay. So the first one would be best section to start the ZAT paper with.
Decision making.
Okay. Most underrated ZAT skill in one word.
System 2 thinking.
Okay. Mocks, quality or quantity?
I would say quantity.
Decision making is more logic or ethics?
I would say logic.
Okay. ZAT preparation just in one word.
Consistency.
Okay. ZAT exam day feels like one word.
Pleasant.
Okay. Now over to you, Vijay. Please, if you could continue from there.
Thanks a lot, Rahul. Interesting bunch of one-word answers. We've been able to extract a lot of meaningful insight in terms of giving the upcoming exam. Just building on the same front, like in general terms, you think question selection, accuracy, speed. What is the name of the game when it comes to that?
So, sorry, can you just repeat your question?
So in terms of maximizing the marks for that, like what is the typical go-to model? Like, do you focus on selecting the right questions to attempt? Do you focus on doing the questions right, focusing on accuracy, or is it speed that you primarily focus
So
on?
that's a very good question. Thank you for asking that, Vijayaditya ji. I would say that you should always focus on accuracy. Best part of XAT is we don't test our candidates on time. I would tell you why. We give 170 minutes to our candidates. And in those 170 minutes, students are allowed to take any section, and in between, if they are stuck, they are allowed to move to any other section. Right. So we give that kind of a liberty and freedom because we are nowhere testing speed. We know that some students have very quick speed to solve questions. Some students take their time. But based on somebody's speed, I cannot say one is better than the other. Right. So we give you enough speed. You decide what you're good at. With that, you can start with, or you can close with that. But try to focus on accuracy. That's why if you look at our negative marking also, we have 0.25 negative marking for every wrong question, right? But if you are leaving more than 8 questions, then there is 0.10 negative marking. So people would get surprised that this is actually a contradiction. First, you're not allowing us to choose randomly our answers, and then you are also asking us to choose the answers. So I would tell you the philosophy is we want you to stick to accuracy. But sometimes when you are sticking to accuracy, you lose control and you feel like dropping every question, even if there is some confusion, which you can easily handle by thinking about it. So to nudge you in the middle, that please don't drop every question. Wherever you feel you can actually solve or fix that particular question and arrive at an answer, please do. So that 0.10 is a nudge. So I would say that way, that is an exam which respects people's system to thinking, logical thinking, or using rational, and that's why we give enough time and we allow you to toggle among sections. And also we give that liberty that you choose, leave the option, come back later and lock it up. So I
Yeah, the
guess
other exam is as well, Dr. Rahul, if sir, if you can actually tell me which is holding this particular same, marking scheme like
uh,
that.
i
Anything that
guess I guess we don't know any for
so
now.
it's the
If
only
somebody
examination across two.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
So far, as far as I know, so far nobody is doing it.
Okay.
People can pick it up, but so far nobody is doing this.
That's really insightful. It's a state-of-the-art marking facility where designed very specifically to nudge the student in the right levels and in the right amounts. Uh, yeah, in terms of that verbal though, Dr. Rahul, do you think in the last coming month, 30 days left, if we had to give a strategy to develop more on the RC and CR accuracy piece, what is it that you think students who are watching us right now can take away that can be of most help to help them in the verbal section for that?
Right, right. So I would say that we have to follow different strategies for different tests. So like when you handle RCs, when you are handling RCs for speed, like when the speed is getting tested, so you use a scanning method. You go to a question, you try to understand what is being asked, then you go to the passage and try to understand where is this idea getting discussed, and from there you pick the answer. That is a scanning method which XLRI or XAMI or XAT doesn't appreciate. What we want you is to, when I say you, I mean candidates, is to use skimming and interpretive strategies. You skim through the text, you try to understand what is relevant and sift it from what is irrelevant. If you interpret, you can actually arrive at an answer. Most of these ZAT RC's answers are actually based on interpretation. And it's not just RC's, it's also about our LR passages, our poem, or from last year we started giving cartoons. So whatever is there, if you can interpret, you can actually be able to answer. So I would say that if you want to prepare for this 1 month, your focus should be more on understanding the text. And after understanding, try to relate to what has been asked, you will be able to arrive at an answer.
And please throw some light on cartoons as well because I think that's interesting.
So this is the discussion we are having for quite some time here at XLRI, because I'm also the chair of XLRI admissions. So when I talk to students, especially the new generation students, they keep talking about memes. Keep talking about animes. They keep talking about memes. They believe that this is the language they love. So we have started realizing that if we are not changing our paper according to the likes of this generation, then of course they will lose interest. And therefore, XLRI believes that we should make definitely the content relevant to the candidates. At the same time, it should also help us in assessing what we want to understand. So cartoon was our first step towards it, and we could actually marry what we test. We test analytical skills with what students like, and I guess it was highly appreciated last year. right? I also received lots of mails from candidates saying paper was amazing. Though they created a meme of my picture and posted it on lots of platforms, that was also interesting. But that's how they communicate, and I don't mind that part. But actually, that was fun. In fact, we took that particular cartoon from the New Yorker, and the person who made that cartoon, people searched about him, and they found him on Instagram, and then they shared this particular question with him, saying, "What do you think is the answer?" And he also replied back to that cartoon saying, "Cartoons have no right or wrong answers."
Okay.
So, so I guess this kind of an interest, I guess, helps. And that doesn't believe in just giving a question paper and forgetting,
Pardon me for
right?
asking an insider news now. So sorry for cutting you in between. So
Yeah, yeah.
so Gen Z should expect, next set of questions, something on those lines once again in
Of
the next
course.
paper as well?
Of course, of course. So we have it on our mind. If cartoon was there, cartoon may be there in the next question paper as well, right? But I would suggest that if cartoon is there or poem is there or RCs are there, we are testing the same competency across. Huh? We are trying to understand, can you interpret the information, right? So of course, modes are changing, but the skills which are required to understand, they are not changing, and that's what we are testing for B schools. So that's happening, and I guess that's helping us as well as helping students.
It's really important to be talking in students' language these days, especially to lighten the mood.
Right.
One of the major sections of the exam where students actually require a lot of relaxation is the quants part. Specific audience is always tested and very anxious about the quants piece. Just wanted to understand from you, Dr. Rahul, if you would have any insight into what would be the lowest hanging fruits in the last month in terms of points that students can pick up, top three chapters or sections which you think are more scoring or can be done in a shorter while of time.
The question is good, but again, I would say it's a very subjective way of talking about this particular section, because for me, if somebody is comfortable with algebra, I would say go with algebra. For somebody, geometry is amazing. Somebody would say, I don't care about these two sections. I am very good at data interpretation. So I would say that difficult to comment on this, but again, I would say at least pick last 7 to 8 year question papers if you are preparing for XAT, and try to understand what kind of questions were asked and what was the proportion of questions from each topic. I
And
guess
does
that
repeat? Yeah.
so if they can pick the question paper of last 7 to 8
Yeah.
years and try to understand what kind of questions were asked, what kind of topics were used in those questions, and then think on those lines can help you understand what is going to come. I guess we avoid giving surprises. Yes, of course, that questions require students to think. So thinking should be their focus, right? You cannot just by looking at the question jump to an answer, right? And that has 5 alternatives. They are deliberately kept. We want you to pick the right answer by thinking. So keep your ears and eyes open, and also along with that, keep your mind working. In fact, for a few who are, for instance, lots of people are uh, morning people, right? And lots of people are night owls, right? This is the terminology which is used across campuses. I would say whatever you are, please, if you have just month's time, start taking mocks between 2 and 5, so that you don't get brain fog on the day of the test, that is 4th of January, between 2 and 5.
No, completely understood. To play on your strengths in the last month, focus on your strengths, get the exam time locked up in your body clock, and be ready
Yes.
for the exam in the coming time. While a lot of students can prepare typically for from previous year papers and questions to understand their strengths, one thing that is definitely not included is the general knowledge part. This is something that, you know, while it has a specific course, there is no length or breadth. It's actually just testing your waters in terms of how aware you were in the preparation exam period, and what should be the next 30-day strategy in terms of a student who's just cleared his exams and been preparing for final exams perhaps, and then in these 30 days he wants to catch up or she wants to catch up on the happenings. What is the typical exam period through which we are taking the timeline for GK? And what do you think should be the strategy going forward?
I would say like 10 to 15 minutes of knowing what happened in, for instance, every month in last 7 to 8 months. anything significant, right? I can give you one question also, which would not come, but still I can tell you, like, there was somebody who went to space, right, from India. I
Yeah.
guess Anshu Shukla, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Right? That question is coming because first he went to space, second he was from Lucknow, and I am also from Lucknow, and third is Shukla, so I'm also Shukla. I'm just kidding. So if you have kept your ears and eyes open about such things, right? There's something of national importance, right? Everybody knew. So similar kind of things you need to be watchful of, right? Something which happened across the country, which impacted us. I guess questions around those. And when it comes to static GK also, we don't ask questions which are coming back from history and creating confusion. We try to ask those questions which you need to know, right? In fact, if you see our options also, they can help you arrive at a right answer, right? So you have to use your brains over there. At the same time, you have to be watchful of what happened in last 7 to 8 months, what significant events. I guess most of you will find in the question paper.
7 to 8 months is the time period for the
Yes,
dynamic
I guess
GK
that would suffice because we only have 20 questions.
Fair.
All right, I think a lot of things being said over here, but we want more insights. So I thought of keeping one true and false round also with you, sir. And I think this is going to be really helpful for all the student audiences who are listening to us right now and going to write that examination on 4th of January. The first question on the same lines is: high attempts matter more than accuracy in that. True or false?
Sorry, come again.
High attempts matter more than accuracy in that examination.
I would say false.
GK can significantly impact your shortlist chances.
False.
Decision making cannot be mastered in 30 days.
False.
To clear the quant cutoff, students must attempt most of the questions.
That's also false.
That rewards calm test takers more than fast test takers.
That rewards most calm test takers, you are
That
saying.
rewards calm test takers more than fast test takers.
That's true.
Okay. Over to you, Vijay.
Thanks. Some quick insight gathering for the students preparing for the exam on 4th. Just some exam day strategy. Let's talk about the final piece now that we're heading towards the final section of the interaction. What is the typical exam day strategy in terms of how a student should approach his first 30 minutes? You said they should typically start with the decision making piece. How should they handle the middle section? How should they end it? How many times do you think they need to come back to a question or just do it in one go? What do you think should be a
So it was my strategy. If I had to start, I would have started with decision making. My suggestion would be like there are many ways to do it. Some people they start with something they are very good at. For a simple reason, they know that they would allocate less time to this section because they are very good at, and then they would devote more time to the section where they are not so great. Right? That's one of the ways. Another set of students believe that they would start with a section which is difficult for them. Why? Because it requires more time and they want to spend their fresh mind in that section. So that can also be a strategy. Whether it's this strategy or that strategy, whether you start with the section you appreciate or section which you find difficult, I would say that there should always be a sectional time on the back of your mind. You should have your own time, right? Like I'll spend at least this much, but I would not go beyond this much. And sometimes there are some questions you are crazy about. Like some people love decision data interpretation, for instance, and now they come across data interpretation and they're struggling to find an answer. But because they love and they believe they're the masters of that particular type of questions, they would actually invest more than 15-20 minutes, and you have to understand it's going to cost you in other sections. So I would say that you should have strategies on questions as well, right? Especially those questions which have multiple sub questions in them, right? Why? Because those questions definitely they give you an upper hand if you understand them well. So in one stem you can understand what would happen in three questions, right? But at the same time, if you invest more time in them, they will end up eating other five, three, six questions in other section. So have a strategy for such questions which have sub questions in them. Also have sectional time for each section, right? And start with what you are comfortable with. You're comfortable with verbal, you start with comfort verbal. You're comfortable with quantitative aptitude, start with quantitative aptitude, right? And don't stick to one question for a long time. If you're struggling, leave it there, go back to any other section, attempt something else, and again come back. Because sometimes this transition helps. It gives you a fresh perspective. So there can be multiple strategies, but again, I will caution you, whatever I am saying, don't follow it exactly. You may modify it depending upon what you are good at, right? Because we all have our own ways of handling scenarios. I may tell you one way, but you may have a better way, and you could, if you follow it, maybe you would be able to perform many times better than what I'm suggesting.
Just one last question from my side. We've discussed a lot about what all needs to be done and what all should be done.
Yeah.
Last piece is what all should not be done. So, what do you think are the three typical mistakes and the most classic mistakes that you see that aspirants making every year? And you're just like, let's just solve these three things. They're so simple to solve for.
So there is something which I believe is happening with many, but good thing is now they are already in a zone where they have to prepare for XAT. But what happens with the preparation part? That most of our candidates keep that preparation towards the end. They believe that we'll start the preparation only after other exams, especially the main exam, which happens in the month of November, right? So my suggestion would be, if you are preparing, you have to devote or dedicate particular number of hours every day to XAT. Now, even in the month of December, when if you are preparing for XAT and also you have applied for other tests, right? There is something called consistency. You need to be consistent with your preparation for that. In the sense, I am tired, I will prepare for that. I am happy, I will prepare for that. I am today excited, I will prepare for that. Today I don't want to do anything. I want to sleep, but still I would do at least one RC. So stick to consistency, right? Don't give up. Every day you have to dedicate at least some time to XAT till you appear for XAT. So this is one thing I would suggest. While taking the exam, I would say that don't try to bring outside knowledge, especially when you are handling decision making section, right? You have worked in an industry and you see question from that industry and you feel like, I know how it works. You have to stick to the knowledge of the STEM. Don't go outside the STEM. Everything which is asked is coming from the STEM. Outside knowledge can force you to take an option which may not be the correct option. So I guess here you will follow this. When it comes to verbal, focus more on interpretation. Don't look for direct answers, because mostly what appears to be direct answer in that doesn't appear to be a right answer. So try to focus on interpretations in verbal. Also in decision making, don't go out of this STEM. And in quantitative aptitude and data interpretation, try to understand that there are mostly application based questions. So use your thinking skills. Definitely your mathematical intelligence you will have to use, but also thinking skills along with mathematical intelligence to get accuracy in your answers.
No, that's really insightful. Over to you, Rahul.
Sure. Now, the next one is a bit tougher one, sir. If you may choose not to answer this. So, what is that one simple but powerful hack that can immediately boost a student's Z score in the final weeks? So, is there some hack?
I would say PYQs will help.
PYQs will have. Okay. All right. And the final question. What is that one piece of advice that you think should be given to every Z aspirant who is right now watching you?
See, number one, you people have to stop thinking of the other exams. Why? Because sometimes exams don't go according to your expectations, right? And the problem with all of us is our subconscious brain tries to help us believe that whatever you have done, it helps us believe that whatever you have done is not so great, right? So you have to keep doing great. That's a good thing because it helps us in improving. But you also have to understand sometimes that baggage impacts your performance. So whatever has gone, right? Focus on what's coming, right? And stick to consistency, as I've already advised. Focus on preparing for every day, at least for some time. Go through our previous year question papers. I'm sure your platform also provides them with lots of situations on in decision making and quantitative aptitude. Just follow such platforms where you can gather or get information. Also, if mocks are available, try to take mocks. Be mentally prepared and visualize. Good thing is that our mock is also open, right? So if you take our mock, you will get a feel of the real test. We keep I guess this year we have kept open our mock for many months and for many occasions For a simple reason, we wanted students to understand what is there in the final test. But if you have missed out on that, don't worry, right? You keep preparing, you keep going through a previous year's question paper, stay consistent, right? Don't think too much about what has happened. I guess set a goal and try to do 80 to 90%, and 10% you can put on those who you believe in, your parents, God, Mother Nature, whatever you respect, I guess, or chance or role, that will also play a role. I guess that's what the advice I can give.
I'm quite sure whoever watches this particular episode today and is writing that examination on 4th, then there are some sessions that are insightful. But this is super useful. I'm quite sure there'll be tremendous shift in the thought process. There'll be tremendous shift in the writing strategy, and there'll be tremendous shift in achieving the final goal in terms of marks. Thank you, Dr. Rahul Shukla, for making this big, and thank you for giving the
Thank you
chance
so
of
much.
interviewing you.
Pleasure talking to you both, and all the best to all the aspirants. And please, I would also thank you, because you and your team is helping these candidates in different ways, right? And because of that, many people live their dreams. So keep doing good work, and please keep helping us also in these many ways, so that we also keep getting the best candidates, and we convert them, so that we can convert them as global leaders, and they contribute meaningful not only to our society but to the world at large. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.